Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Chairman, it's good to see you again as well. I think one of the comments you made earlier, we all need to bear in some level of mind that while you've had to take some extraordinary actions, when we reflect back on where we were in the spring of 2009 and how deep a ditch we were in and the prognostications at that point, while clearly employment numbers are not where we'd like, some of the other recovery has been frankly more dramatic than I think many of us would have even predicted. You know, one thing, I've got two issues I want to raise in my short time, and I'll try to be quick about it because I want to follow up on Senator Bennett's question. But before I get there, one of the things I think, and hopefully we will have a wise way to avoid a government shutdown right now, but I do think at times within the public there is some confusion between these issues around shutdown and an issue that we will have to address in the next few months around the debt ceiling limit. And as we've heard from your testimony, and I absolutely believe we need to put in place a long-term plan to deal with our debt and deficit, and I'm proud of the bipartisan work that's being done on that. But as we're still kind of in this hopefully strengthening recovery, can you, in as plain a language as a central banker could, make clear what the ramifications would be, maybe to an average American or to our economic recovery, if we were to default on and not raise that debt ceiling limit, and the ramifications that would have towards our recovery into an average American family? 2 or 3 examples.
Well, it would be an extremely dangerous and very likely recovery-ending event. First, it would almost certainly create a new financial crisis as firms that rely on receiving their interest in principal do not receive it, and they're unable to make payments, and so that problem would cascade through the financial markets. Then there would be a massive loss of confidence in the U.S. Treasury securities, which are the deepest most liquid market in the world. Interest rates would spike, and that would in turn affect many other assets as well as treasuries. So the near-term effect would almost certainly be a very sharp resumption of the kinds of instabilities we saw in 2008, even if we were able somehow, say because it was only 20 minutes long or something like that, even if we were able to avoid those kinds of effects, very likely the interest rate that lenders would demand of the U.S. To finance our debt going forward would be higher, reflecting the greater riskiness and uncertainty associated with funding the U.S. government. And that would make our fiscal problems all the more severe because interest payments are part of the deficit. So it means that cuts would have to be sharper and tax increases larger, and those things themselves would also be a negative for the recovery. So broadly speaking, it would be, I think, a very, very bad outcome for the U.S. economy.
So it would be safe to say that 2 years of extraordinary actions, many of them politically unpopular, could all be washed away, and whatever recovery we've got could all be put in jeopardy if we, as members of Congress and the American public, doesn't realize that there is a major distinction between the questions around the debt ceiling limit and, equally important questions around government shutdown. But government shutdown compared to messing with the debt ceiling limit could have dramatically different ramifications.
We've never had a failure to raise the debt limit. We've had a number of government shutdowns, and they've created problems, but they haven't been as destructive as a debt limit failure would be.